Good morning, gentle folks. Good evening, gentle folks who are over on the other side of the world, and to all the ships at sea and all the ships in space, too. I'm probably saying good morning right now to Voyager 1 and 2. And I guess, well, I don't know, Pioneer might still be listening. Who knows? Anything could happen. So, and there's a plethora of aliens out there. All right, time to get started on today's work. I'm going to be working on Pentacle, Silver Pentacle 2 by Nancy Hansen. I'm going to go on ahead and switch over to monitor mode. I don't think we've got anybody else joining us at all, ever again. It's a thing. Excuse me. Went to McDonald's this morning and got a thing of coffee because there's something about McDonald's coffee, and I don't know what it is. So I have McDonald's coffee with me. I got my normal coffee too as a secondary coffee. It's an emergency backup coffee. Or sometimes you need an emergency backup coffee, you know? All right. Moving right along. Do, 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 do. Yeah, okay, we're in the wrong folder for everything. It's been a while, huh? The Silver Pentacle 2, 2, 2, 2. All right. Where are we? We're on Silver Pentacle Ilio 3. This is the infamous picture that got poor my poor dear friend banned. So let's go ahead and get ourselves in on the blue line for this. I'm going to do this. Go up on the blue line. Now, in general, what I do. Oh, good. We can buy followers. Created humanity. Isn't that nice? All I've got so far this morning is a bot. Man. All right. Kind of going through here. I want this to kind of be a nice chandelier here. So we're going to do something like this. Alternate like so. So the second layer is lower than the first layer. Kind of showing off some of the opulence here. Kind of the ridiculous opulence. So, and kind of this thing going, and he's on a loop up here. All that was just to illustrate where the loops were so that I knew where they were. Because these rods here are not going to be stuff we're going to use for anything else. And I'm going to use kind of this as a guide as to what the top of this should look like so. All right. So there we go. Then we're going to come back here. I'm going to put in these pillars, which is what I really wanted was these pillars. I didn't care about the shape of the pillars at the time, but I kind of like this. This is more of more like the dork pillars. Dork pillars. It's like a. That said, the chair isn't opulent enough, so I'm going to opulenter it. I'm going to make it a little bit more opulenter. Right, we're going to have something more like this to indicate that he's rich. Right. The sketch has got a great view of him. I like the way it is with him. He's got these kind of dark eyebrows. They're like so, right? You know, and a square jaw. Like seriously, a square jaw. I'm not even screwing around with this, right? It's a square jaw. He's got his mouth kind of going like this. so, around the stogie. Because, nothing like getting lung cancer because you're really, really rich. Doesn't really matter. He doesn't quite make it through the rest of the story. Spoiler alert. So there's that. I'm going to make his head square too. So very square up here too as well. Because whatever's going on, he's got this big, beefy. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. So I just used the maquette to give me sort of a guide of where this is in 3D space. But I'm totally going over the line on it, right? Because like we're just giving him, we're going to give him the half-lidded, the idea here, of course, is that I'm going to give him like the, you know what, they've got them going down. I don't want them going down. So, he's probably earned a little bit of his reputation by being somewhat of, like, so, like, kind of like this. He's got kind of the sad look in his eyes, but, I've had to kill people many times, but I'm only going to kill you a lot. And he puts your stogie in, so he's got kind of the down eyebrows. The eyebrows are down like this, but his eyes are kind of sad like this. So, kind of like that kind of thing. We're kind of going for that look. I'm sorry, I've got to kill you, but I'm going to have to kill you. I mean, because you have to remember what kind of story we're writing here. Where this is a pulp novel. And so, since it's a pulp novel, we have sort of stereotypes going. That's kind of one of the hallmarks of a pulp novel. That's why we kind of read them. That's why we like pulp novels, is because they kind of play on the stereotypes a little bit. And so I'm going to go with the stereotype that this guy's kind of sad a little bit. Sorry, I'm going to have to put you in concrete galoshes, kind of thing. Yeah. I'm also going to give him sort of the cheekbones kind of thing going for him, right? We're going to come back and deal with that in a minute. I want to make sure all the marks are in, though. I'm going to give him dots here for... There we go. Stubble down here, too. Maybe he's clean shaven. We'll come back and decide, right? Okay, now that we've done this, I'm going to kind of decide what kind of hair he's got. And I gave him only hair on the sides, so I gave him kind of... I mean, if we're going to stereotype, let's stereotype, right? Right, so a little bit of hair on the side, but really kind of want kind of that. A big head. Okay. And go around the corner here. He's pudgy, but that doesn't mean that he's not really strong, right? I'm going to put him in a nice little pinstripe suit. So we'll go like this and go like this, and it's going to stop here. And give him blockier hands than the maquette. Maquette's just giving me a guide, as usual. And give him these huge blocky hands because he's got massive hands. Also a stereotype. More work than the rest of it. That's all right. That's all right, bro. We got it. We're already started here. Got ourselves already kind of in the fray. We're gonna start it out here. Everything. So we don't need that on this side at all. So we're gonna come down here. We're ready. There we go. So if we look at this with, what we should do is duplicate this. So what I do is I'll duplicate the layer and I'll set this guy for this so that we can take a look at it by itself. And I'm already liking where this is going. He's got the sad look, but his eyebrows are down. So, he's doing the, I hate to have to kill you, but I'm going to have to kill you. Sort of thing. Which is perfect. So this is great on this one. We'll come in here. I have to give you concrete galoshes. I don't know. What was it? Something over shoes. There's an entire long quote that was very funny because Data said it. Right, so we'll do that. We'll come in here, like so. Just giving him some basic structure so we can see what's going on. Right, we got to make sure the chair goes the right way on this one. It has to be kind of like so. We don't have music. We need music. Oh, look at that. Ah. Gesundheit. Oh, wait, what? Am I jumping ahead? I'm totally jumping ahead. I think the best Gesundheit joke I ever heard was David and Maddie in Moonlighting. Back in the first early days, that was the best two-liner because Maddie was like, we have to search for a clue. And David was like, a what? And she goes, a clue. And he's like, Gesundheit. That was the best. It was such a left turn. It was like, Will. Moonlighting was such a part of our family's structure that it took me years to get to Bruce Willis being an action hero because he was a comedian in my head. He was freaking funny. And he was so good as David Addison that, like, in my head, I had to really wrench it around to get Die Hard to work. And I just couldn't for a long time. I love Die Hard now, But man, in the very beginning, I'm like, no, I can't take this, guys. This is not right. This is not what David Addison would do. It's so funny. Okay. So, I am attempting here. I got sidetracked, and now I've forgotten what I was doing. There was a thing I was pushing. Music! We need music. That's what we were after. It happens to all of us, and he was a good guy, and I'm very sad about it too. He's a good fella, and a good actor. I hope he enjoys his retirement. I hope he does a good job of having his end years be good and pleasant. And I wish him well for the remainder of his life. And I'm sad that he's there. But you know what? It happens to all of us. It will happen to me too. Someday it'll happen to me. And I have become more cognizant now of how much that's going to happen. So anyway, we will see how this goes. Anyway, so there we go. Now she is in a cat suit. It says specifically she's in a cat suit. So I'm going to be very tight around her body here. But even the cat suit's going to be not that revealing around the breasts. He was a great actor, and he will be remembered fondly. And because this is pulp, by the way, I'm not going to give her pockets like we went through with the suits and uniforms for Bellatrix. Okay, so I like the idea that these guys kind of wrap around the ceiling of the place a little bit there. So we're going to go do this. So apparently, whatever music Restream is using, somebody is laying claims on it. And it cracks me up because they're laying claims and it's cutting our audio out. But this is all royalty free, so I have to keep disputing it. And they keep unlocking it. But some company out there has decided to keep laying claims on the music, saying that it's blocked in some countries because we violated copyright. And of course, I mean, I don't know for sure that Restream is, doing this correctly. However, I'm pretty sure they are. I can't imagine why they wouldn't be. So, I mean, if anybody understands streaming copyrights, it's Restream. Hey, George. Good morning, dude. You want to come up here and say good morning to everybody up here? That's fine. You can say good morning, everybody. Everybody wants to say hi to George, because George is George. Good morning, George. What a cat. He's into this plan. He's like, I had nothing better to do at this moment. I wasn't really trying to get into your trash. No, why would you think that? Why in the world did you think I was getting into your trash? Huh? Why would you think that? this thing is to get into the trash, as is obvious by my commentary on him getting into trash. He thinks that's cool. I don't know why he thinks that's cool, but okay. The kid is at music camp. This is a thing, and that is pretty cool. And the kid looks like they're very happy at music camp. So I'm good. But that also means that George is doing there's no one here. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, so George has some George issues that are going on. When I saw this picture in my head, I envisioned sort of the leftover remnants. He plays bells, which is really a xylophone. That's the thing. Really into xylophone. But I don't know how long he's going to stay there and whether he's going to move to drums. He may move to drums. If he moves to drums, we already have a drum set, which is great. Because the drum set is all digital. Which means that they can wear headphones. I probably ought to. Yeah. I do violin, which I just restrung. And now that nobody is here today, I'm actually play it. I try not to play it when people are here because I still sound like I'm murdering some animal whenever I play. So I don't play with other people around at this point. It's still not quite good enough to practice with people around. So I'm not trying to murder something. So there's that. All right. Now we've done that part. Corner here. Bring this up. And this and down. And give her very gentle fingers. Actually, let's go ahead and bring this catsuit down like so, because that actually is part of the breast right here. So we want to bring that down into this, indicating her as they put it in there. Yeah, I've got lots of emails down there at the bottom right now. I didn't check my emails over the weekend because I was with my family doing family stuff, and I'm ignoring my emails temporarily. So I started reading them this morning, and one of the Outlook indicators thingies said, "Hey, check your timesheet." So I had to go check my timesheet, which I had done wrong, and I had to go fix that. It's all right, we got it fixed now, but that was the problem du jour that stopped me from checking the rest of my emails. So I will check the rest of them after the show because there's no point in checking them right now. And there's no one else on the show to offset the show a little bit for me to check things, well, which is fine. I don't need to check my emails. It's not important. I mean, it is important, but nothing is going to die because I didn't check my emails. worst thing that will happen is that my paycheck will get messed up, and then my wife will want to kill me off. But we'll figure that out. All right. Now we're here. All right, let's get this other. Let's get this other pillar in so that they can go to sleep. Wait, so we could put this. Trying to make a grandmother joke. My grandmother was from Arkansas. So a pillar is a pillow because Arkansas. I am not, however, pleased with the fact that even though I'm following a maquette, I feel like her face is off. Like, I don't know why her head looks tilted, but it does. All right, I'm having a problem with that. We'll figure it out, I guess. Other thing we need to do is put in the thing that you can't say, because apparently that'll get you banned from Facebook. We're not bitter or anything. I'm still bitter about that. That made me bitter and angry. I mean, like, there was nothing I could do to stop it. There's no way to moderate my stream. It was like, it wasn't up to me. At all. okay. Some of it doesn't look right anymore. Like some of it doesn't look quite correct. I'm having some issues here. It looks fine. She looks slightly off. I'm having a problem with it, trying to figure out what this problem is. So. We did get one this morning, trying to sell us followers or whatever, but that's not anything. No. I'm not talking about you moderating the stream. I'm talking about the fact that you got kicked off, and I couldn't say, hey, he didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way I could protest or whatever. You were included. I mean, I'm totally on board with no hate speech or things like that. That makes no sense. Nothing wrong with that. What I have a problem with is when they boot you for making a sidelong joke that's clearly a joke. Because it starts to make me worried, right? Like, I know. I get it. But it's still irritating to me. It still bothered me. You know what I mean? So, all right. We have blue line in for this Helio. And I know that you're not offended like I'm offended, and I appreciate that you're not offended like I'm offended. That's cool. Really, legitimately. But it is still kind of a like aggravation. You know what I mean? So it's all good though. Okay, double check to make sure that everything is working. Okay. There we go. I'm double checking to make sure that my paycheck has been approved. I'm not doing well with the system that they have made for my driving company. I'm doing actually pretty lousy. Because they have an app, and you load the app, and you run the app, and you do the app thing, and then you do the hours, and I forgot to log in, and I forgot to log out, of course. So we had to go back and add changes, which were to add the punches in, and oh, man, it was a nightmare. Because then once I added the change, my manager had to approve, then I had to approve the manager's approval. Like, I appreciate them being very protective of this, but boy, that was rough. So, and then this morning I approved the approve. So the kid has gotten a game that allows him to play with cats. Apparently, he has made all of our cats, including George, who now is fishing. That's what's going on. George is fishing. So. Yeah, the problem is somebody told them that they had to do something. And the thing that gets me is I swear it was Donald Trump, but I cannot find proof of it anywhere. But because I remember thinking when I heard it, I'm like, that's not going to go like he thinks it will. But I swear Donald Trump at some point in time put out some order that said all of those social media outlets need to control themselves or we will control them for them. And I remember thinking, that's not going to go like he thinks it will. That's going to go badly, because what's going to end up happening is they're just going to end up hitting everybody for any word that's X, Y, or Z. And here we are, where they're just blipping out words just like I thought at that time, because I was like, I know exactly how this is going to go, and it's not going to go the way they think. I mean, I applaud the idea of trying to handle it and trying to come up with the idea of dealing with it. But I mean, like, all you have to do is look at the way social media works to know that that's not going to go the way they think it will. So, we're almost at the point where I can switch tanks from tank 1 of coffee to tank 2 of coffee. All right. I was late getting through to my medications this morning, so I'm having a hard time getting started and getting focused. I'm somewhat all over the place. I apologize for that. I'm still suffering from the aspects of ADD, which is I'm really wanting to do the cards for Black, the card game, and I want to really get in here and start working on Elio 3, but I can't seem to stop thinking about the card game. So we've done a start here. That's not what I wanted. It's the wrong button. We've done the start here. Now look at all these. This is going to be a difficult one for me to do, because I don't mind it, but I know that we've got issues with our, if it's too risque, it'll get rejected by the manager. So, all right. We'll go back to this guy for a little bit and work on this guy for a little bit, because I really can't seem to not focus on this right now. So it's all right. We'll get there. So looking at where we are here, we've got like, this is all a uniform color, which is great. We've got 3 types of cards we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to do not sure where that is or why. Yeah, I know. I'm just, man, it's hard for me to focus on that one. All I can think about is this. So, boom, flush this out of the system here for a little bit. All right. Here's what that one is. Yep, so we've got 3 kinds of cards, and this is going to cover all 3 of them. We're just going to have a different graphic on top for each one of them. So there's the arena types of cards, which are cards that live in the arena. There's the modifier cards, which are cards that modify the cards that are in the arena. And then there's order cards. order cards are played like instants in Magic, but they all have to be played by resources on the field. So as the game's played, you get more resources on the field. So these are the things we kind of have to think about. So back in the days of the Star Trek game, they had the 3 skills sitting in this middle bar, and I kind of liked that a lot. I came up with a procedure of how to make this work as a game function, and the mechanics of it. So I'm kind of looking at how the mechanics work. I wanted an easier mechanic than I've had in the past, because if you look at the base mechanics of Magic, even these super complicated planeswalkers, which are super complicated, it was actually funny because at one point in time, my friends were making jokes about how many pieces of information were on my cards because they had like 10 pieces of information. And the truth of the matter is, as a Magic card, we just are so not used to how many pieces of information. But this is one piece, this is another, here's another, these are another set of pieces here, right? All of those mean something. All of this means something, right? And of course, all of this means something. Which means that here we've got, and this, right? Because that's a key for the game as well. So we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of information that are important on this card, too. So when people were kind of like saying, gosh, Guy, you've got so many pieces of information because you have 10 pieces of information on the card, it's like that are usable for either collecting or for the game. And I was like, well, they got 10 here on a Planeswalker, 9 if you don't count that. So it was a thing. I was kind of like, and if you count the name, well, I guess we don't really need to worry about Planeswalker, but we do need to know Legendary because you can only have 1 Legendary, so that's a thing. And a bolus is, they'll say they're cards that target. If you have a bolus in your hand, okay, that's fine. So we need, of course, so people look at the Magic cards, and it's funny because they sit there and they say, well, all that's important on a Magic card is this. And I'm like, it isn't, though. That's not important. That's not all that's important. There are a number of pieces on a card that are critical, So, and especially a Planeswalker, which is extra complicated. So anyway, that's something I kind of think about when we talk about the concepts of card building. I'm trying to get to a point where I don't have that many complicated pieces on my card building, right? So what I'm looking at is a function where there is a start and an end function. And so I'm thinking what we will do is have something similar to a thing over here, which is a receive version, and a thing over here, which is an attack version, maybe even like something like this. And this compares to this. So if this is, say, for example, A2, and this is A2, then this card could attack itself and win. You get the idea. But then you can have multiple colors of this function. I could have one down here, which is like this. And then have one over here, which looks like this. And then you have, a 4 and a 2. And you're going to need 2 of these cards to attack this to take this card out, sort of thing. And that way, it's a simple mechanic, right? Then I just have a number of different types of cards that do this thing, and we've got different colors. And then if you don't have the right color for the function, it doesn't work. That makes it pretty easy on this one, because then I can just have the talk, or the section in the center here is the, you know, this is a card, you know, flavor text. Sort of thing. And that will help a lot. And that gives us some things to work with here. And then down here can be any extra information in that little piece there. Flavor Town. Flavor Town. So that's a thought. And then, of course, that gives me the ability to put a name up here. And then a portrait of some sort here. There. So, all right. So this is my thought for basic design. All I need then is the right. Exactly. So happy to be on this flavor texty card. Then we need to talk about whether I'm going to use a randomizer or not. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to use a randomizer. I may or may not. We're in the... I like the idea of a randomizer. A little too happy to be on this card. Dude, you are too happy to be on this card. So, you know, so that's the question that's complicated. So here's the the design conceit of this, right? We've got a ship. In this case, we're going to have the Polaris, right? And the Polaris has a bunch of ships on it. The Polaris shows up to do battle with your ship, which is the whatever, right? It seems weird to have money, because why would you pay money to launch ships that are just sitting in the launch bay, right? So I think what I would do is, I'm thinking that each one of these guys right here, moving out all of here, up here, that stuff right there, let's put it in red. These guys are launch credits or something. They indicate how many things you can deploy every turn, right? So if your ship has one of these down here and says, you know, can do this, you can then every turn put out two of these, whichever card has one of those, into the arena. Because the idea is you're launching ships, right? So here's I'm putting my ship on the table, you're putting your big ship on the table, and then we start launching ships at each other to shoot each other, and that's the battle plan, right? That's the game. So your currency, your mana, if you will, is the control throttle we need is how many things can you launch. So a base station will have one launch capable thing. So you can launch any ship with one of these guys, one of these. Then you'll build a deployable, blah, 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 and that adds one more launchable location from that point. So there'll be steps, I think, is what we'll have. And I always wanted, so I wanted to, this is one of those things as well. It's the build the thing you always wanted and then just make it work, right? So it's taken me many years to make this work, but I've gotten, I think, the system that I'm after. What I wanted was always SimCity plus the plus StarCraft plus something that would allow us to tell a story about the card game, but it all has to fit in a card game that is easy and stuff like that. So this has taken some time for me to come up with a mechanic that works, but I've got it, I think. So that's where we are. I'm being somewhat vague because, I mean, we're still kind of a little ways out, although I have already sort of sent all of these rules to myself as a copyright. And one could argue that saying it online like this means that I have a jump. It is, in fact, June 20th of 2022. And I mean, like, we kind of did, this probably could be used in a court of law. It does exist on all social medias. So there is that. But that's my thought here is, you know, you've got one of these to say that you can put something out there. And maybe the icon would fit. Because I always wanted to come up with, I mean, there's a set of icons here that we could use. And that's kind of what this middle section is about, is the icons that we can use for this. So anyway, kind of looking at this from this point of view, now I kind of want to talk about some of the other zones that are on here. A new layer. Okay, start like right here and go to right. Here. This one's definitely it's gonna be this. That's a spot that we're gonna use for one kind of card. We'll get there in a minute. We're not there yet. Make sure that doesn't get anywhere near it. It doesn't. Okay, good. We'll start that one, but then we're gonna do a new one here. And this one is like this. Like that. Sure that's not neat. And you're that isn't really. It's another one of those that, as much as I really desperately want to use Clip Studio Paint for all of this stuff, Photoshop still is better on all of these things. And I'm sacrificing quite a bit of time to do this. And the last type of card is this one. I go way too close to this side because I did not, in fact, go close enough. It really should be like so. Yeah. So this type of card would be the order card. This type of card would be the character card or build card. And this type of, so that there's these three very distinct differences in shape. can tell what kind of card you have in your hand. Each card has a different currency. Well, really, there's only two kinds of currency. Order cards can only be played on things that are already in play. So it's like as if they're like an enchant creature in that instance. You enchant a creature. You have to have a creature. There must be a target in order for your order cards to be played, unless they say otherwise, which I'm sure like somewhere down the road will decide they need to say otherwise. But and then build cards are built on other cards and are on cards that are already in the arena, but can only be played on. They're like a equipment card. You can't actually just set them on the well, I guess you can't set equipment on the table, but you get the idea. They also play like an enchant creature, but they enchant in a specific way. And then arena cards play in the arena direct. So when you talk about the currency, that's where I'm like doing the I hope this works sort of thing, but it's going a different direction. And instead of using the currency like mana, we're going a different way. Boy, I'm having a hard time focus. Oh god, it's like something is going wonky on GoDaddy, so that all right. All right, okay. Kind of looking around here. I am completely and totally like spaced out. Boy, I'm not doing good today as far as like keeping on target. So I'll go ahead and just save this. And let's go ahead and bring up some inking, because I can do inking without thinking about it. How far back do I have to go, man? I have to go all the way back. That's all right. We'll get there. Still loading. Righty, we have a number of pages we could just ink, so let's do so, shall we? It takes forever for this. Oh, we were messing with this panel. We didn't like this panel at all. We were redoing it. Okay. That was what we were working on. We'll bring this up here. It takes forever for me to load things and stuff. So we're working. That's one of the reasons why I'm not against what you were talking about getting an SSD. I just need to. I probably will be able to free up 250 or 250 or $300, tops 300. But I need to go through and do more memory and the SSD. So I have to be able to do both of them and get in there and do this. So part of the problem is that I need to do both of those things on that. And we have to remember that I mean, oh, that's a good question, Brent. Hey, Brent, while we're here, I have a copy of Windows. It's on this machine. I will be getting an SSD. Do I need to pay another $100 to get another copy of Windows because I'm putting the SSD on there? Or can I just say this copy is moving over from C drive to C drive, but we're moving to an SSD? I mean, am I doomed to another $100 worth of copy here for that? Brent knows nothing. It's the same machine. Okay, so I just type in the code on the top there, yeah, and it'll work. What happens if we gut the machine and redo the whole thing? Is there a point where Windows stops thinking it's the same machine? I'm always curious about this because I'm one of those people that does that, swaps out processors and swaps out I mean, anything could happen. Is it the processor it's tied to? What is it tied to where it decides you have switched machines? Inquiring minds wants to know. Oh, man. And see things are going ding. You're like, I could tell you online or I can just send it to you. Okay. Do you do that in the prompt? Is it a C prompt thing? Is that in my DOS prompt or is that on run? The run prompt. Yeah, I figured. But the question is, do I do that in the DOS prompt or the run prompt? Command window. Okay. I was just wondering. Yep. DOS prompt. Yeah, well, you know me. I'm old. I'm ancient. I'm an ancient person. So. Cool. Well, that answers that question. So, okay. Let's see, what else we got going on? Yeah, I am so totally spaced out. I'm not doing good this morning. I am so very spaced out. All right. It's all right. We'll get to drawing. We'll get to drawing. Hey, Brian's joining me. That's good. It's like I am totally not doing good today. It's good to have Brian joining me because I am not doing so good today.
Uh-oh.
I'm
Anything
just
I can do to help?
I am so space cadetty. It is horrible. I'm not focused at all. Oh yeah? I am so not focused. Oh yeah? Like I am super having focus problems. It's like, so I'm glad you joined me because I'm like, I've already worked on the card game this morning. I worked on Silver Pentacle. Now I'm on my comic book because I just can't seem to focus on one thing. So I'm doing such an ADD thing of swap. I've even checked my email. And so it's been like, I've been checking my email and like, it's brutal. So it's been rough. So anyway, how are you doing this morning?
I'm awake.
That's acceptable. So that's good. Anyway, you.
Ay.
So I'm over here. Looking at things. Trying to figure out stuff.
I don't know how awake I am, but I am awake.
Yeah, having you here is better than me trying desperately to do this by myself and not succeeding. Because now I can keep being a space cadet and not finishing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's okay. So. So anyway, yeah. I just actually was reading something somewhere.
Hi, Brent.
Brent's like still talking to you. So I was reading somewhere that like up until the 60s, I'm having no good work staying on track today. Up until the 60s, apparently, at the YMCA and the YWCA, there were no swimsuits allowed. I didn't know that.
So they went full on nudist?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I would have thought that the 50s would have been super conservative and everybody would have flipped out. But apparently, no, that was acceptable. Which leads to my... Yeah, well, I think that's part of why that song exists the way it does also. But it also leads to my... It has something to do with us sexualizing nudity that changed everything. And that without it, people don't even think about it.
Well, I don't think the 60s helped any.
No, probably not. I mean, legitimately, we did something goofy to it. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. We screwed up something in the system, but my thought is that without that particular influence, it makes some sense that, you know, these guys aren't going to be having that much of a problem with it in the future. I do think that it's going to have to be in the next couple of issues that I'm going to have to do them talking some kind of normal, serious stuff in the shower. Otherwise, I'm going to chicken out and not do it. You know? So, I'm going to have to canonize it really early on. Because once there are viewers to complain, because right now nobody will complain because the only people reading my comic are you and Brent and Donald. And you guys all know what's coming, and you all know it's there, so there's nobody worried about it, you know. But once there are people out there, I'm going to start freaking out about it, so probably should do it relatively soon.
Yeah, probably.
But I keep doing things like, oh crap, is it a good idea? Maybe it's not a good idea, and then reading stuff like that where I'm like, really? We've only been this uptight about nudity for the last like 50 years. You know, it hasn't even really been that long. Brent's like, I've been trying to keep him on target all day. It's been so hard.
We don't know what's going on.
So over the top. It's horrible. It's fine. Right? Exactly. I mean, why can't we just go back to exploding heads? Why do we have to have naked bodies?
Have you read my comic? I think I have more nudity in there at this point.
You do, and that's fine. The problem that I'm having, the issue I'm having is, you know how we were talking before about where you're comfortable in the world and where I'm comfortable in the world?
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with where I am in my sexuality and the fight between the two sides of me and yada yada yada. That's not a problem. What I have a problem with is still rectifying agency for my female characters internally, right? Like, I'm not judging you and your portrayal of a character. I'm judging me and my portrayal of characters, right? And so,
right.
And that's the problem I'm having. I'm suffering from trying to figure out whether I'm taking away their agency by doing that. And so,
well, it also hasn't come up. You haven't had a real point in the story where that has come up. Like, if you think about your story, what has happened so far?
Right. We haven't had a moment where that's occurred.
And we haven't had a moment where that's appropriate.
Right.
Like, them dumping out into a planetoid that's missing is not a appropriate time to go, I'm going to flash my tits. You know?
Exactly. You are absolutely right. Thank you, Brent. Have it now up on my right screen. Priorities. We're working on the SLS. Or for the betterment of the concept that I'm trying to express. Yeah, at this point in time, there hasn't been a step down. And actually, the step down probably won't occur until the beginning of the next issue, or the next episode. But it may have to start at the next episode, beginning of the next episode. So this episode still, part 2 of this is still resolving what happened at the moment. But the beginning of episode 2 starts a different story, right? We're episodic to some degree, so I think that's where that would be. I think that's where that's the step we'd be at. So, talking to Brent about nudity for nudity's sake.
Yeah.
Because you are not wrong about that. And there will never be nudity for nudity's sake. And that's the other thing. I intend very much to only have the characters naked portrayed in a nominal way. So there will never be the full body of my character as she washes her hair, sort of scene. That won't happen. Like, you did one of those, but the point wasn't the character. The point was the scars.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense.
I looked at that as... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that wasn't gratuitous.
No. That was the character coming clean. Like, literally. That was showing that this is not her first time in the hospital. This is not her first time being badly injured. Like, she is tore up.
Right.
And that was the point of that scene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Like I said, so that worked. You didn't That's why I was saying I don't want you to think that I'm judging you. I'm not.
Yeah.
You have not violated my rules in my head yet at all.
Yeah.
So
there's another scene that's coming up between Mammy and Brig that is similar, where it's another coming clean. They're talking in the shower, and it's very much she's asking Brig about that, and Brig goes, "What's going on?"
Right.
And it's another one of those scenes where I'm trying to work out how I fully want to do it, because there's some elements in there that I might want to show that shows that Mammy is hiding stuff.
Right.
And I want to use that scene as a juxtaposition between the two of them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But again, the point that I was trying to kind of get at was you aren't violating that in my mind's eye at all.
Yeah, I'm not throwing it in there because, hey, I want to have boobs and butts, and when they get out of the shower, this character is going to slip on a bar of soap, and no, that's not what I want.
Slip on a bar of soap?
You know the
I do
tropes.
That's why I'm chuckling. I'm like, that's true. It's so true. Oh God. All right. Yeah, no, it's just totally something I have been thinking about, and I think. So what had happened was this: with Springs, I was doing something, and I decided to try to make a political statement. Right? And I tried to move politically with Springs to make a statement about something political. And that's against the concept and design of Springs. Springs has no politics. It's not supposed to go to politics. And my muse abandoned me. Like, I couldn't come up with jokes. I couldn't come up with funny things. There was nothing I could do. It wasn't funny anymore. It wasn't fun to do. My muse walked away because I broke an internal rule. And so I'm very conscientious about my muses, right? And the thing is that the strong female agency, every character has agency. And I'm not just talking about women. Like, I'm talking about giving the Chakrana agency to be just people, right? That's important. My story has been, I start out with a Chakrana, and instead of highlighting that it's an alien and look how alien it is, instead it's carrying coffee, and you're asking whether it's, doing well this morning, and it says, just getting old and cranky in the morning, and that's all, I'll be fine, give me time. It's doing a perfectly human thing, even though it's clearly a triangle with 3 legs, and eye stalks. Yeah. I mean, it's clearly an alien, but here it's doing something perfectly normal. And that's part of the muse that propels Bellatrix Rising. It's not just women have to have agency, it's that the Chakrana have to have agency, the Jacine have to have agency. The bad guys take agency away. That's what the whole point of it is. And so at the core of where I'm going with this story. So I have to be very, very careful doing things that could potentially yank agency away from the characters, because that will pull the muse out, and then we will lose Bellatrix Rising. I won't be able to write anymore. I won't be able to construct anymore. So, right. Well, and that's the thing. That actually, that scene, Brent, is exactly what I'm talking about whenever I talk about this. That scene was a vital scene to making me think a different way about this. I'm waving to your mom. Your mom. That's all right. Mariah is taken to coming on the show too, so
yeah,
she's not here right now because she's subbing today. So I got the house all to myself. It's awesome. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rattle around all day, but that's not true. I'm eyeballing going back to bed already. I'm already like, So, but yeah, so that's why this is a concern. I'm worried about accidentally taking a character's agency away, because if I do, they'll stop speaking to me. And we can't afford that.
I understand.
We can't afford that.
Some of my characters are still not. Some of my characters are still not speaking to me.
Right. And that's a threat. It's a real threat. I don't want to lose this. This is going along really nicely. I have a lot of things that are making many of my buddies have been saying, please God, don't stop writing this. You know, it's not just, I mean, like once. So did I tell you about Raph and his concern about the pedophilia thing?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But once I explained to him why Chang looks so young and the whole point behind it, he was like, dude, you really need to write this story. Because it's important. It's important. But again, I don't want people to see the surface and see me effectively putting a teenage girl in the shower sort of thing, you know, oh, that's sexy. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Every time somebody says something like that, I start going, oh, crap. I didn't think about that when coming into this cycle. Because to me, she's 30. I'm not thinking about what she looks like. She's 30. She has had a child, you know? So it's like, this is not a teenage girl in any way. She's just small, you know? But that's part of the story. And
well, and that's another issue too, is people have a hard time disassociating small with child.
Right. And that is an issue that is definitely a problem, because you don't want people to say, no, her kid's not around. Her kid died. That's part of the pathos of Chang. That's what makes her screwed up. And that's why she's been sticking at Corvette level instead of moving up to Destroyer, where she should have been by now. She should have moved to a Destroyer. And that's why she's drunk a lot. And that's why she has all those problems, is that 8-year-old is no longer around. But it's also part of what happens with Alex, because Alex is the age that her daughter would have been. And so this doesn't help Chang's pathos. Chang now has a kid aboard the same age as her kid would have been, which is about 14. And so that makes for a major problem for Chang, because Chang's now having an issue. That's all part of this internal pathos of this character. So you gotta bow her hair around because her helmet has her emergency helmet has snapped into place. I'm sorry, Brent. It's so funny. Chang is Julie Cochran moved over, and I've already written the story of Julie Cochran's child dying. It's called the episode's called The Last Night of the Year. You can find it on my website. And so on gsdavisart.com, you can find it there, and it's already written. And so I will have to rewrite it someday to fit Chang, so that we can change all of the Star Trek specifics of it. But the story is exactly the same. Her daughter had a disease and died of it when she was 8 that was not curable. And it was a disease that occurred because of Chang's genetic modifications. So Chang has taken a certain amount of umbrage to her own genetic modifications. Chang will never have another child, yada, 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 all of these things, because she is dirty and broken in a lot of ways, in her mind's eye. A lot of pathos in this character. But I've been working on her for years. So yeah. I've been hammering on this character for a very, very long time to end up with this much pathos in her. Also, her ex-husband defected to the Commonwealth. So that's going to be a problem child someday. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, it won't take long. Bennett is generally too blunt because she's lost a lot of her social skills. So it won't take long for Bennett to make some sidelong remark. In the first episode of Tamerlan, called The Champion, we are mimicking this story in a lot of ways. I pulled a lot of the pieces of The Champion out into this. So Alex shows up in The Champion as this unkillable machine, which was designed, it was a doomsday machine, and it was designed to be the ultimate weapon between two races. And what it did was it would take whatever ultimate machine the other side made and mimic it. And so it learned all kinds of things, including how to change its body shape. And then the plot of The Champion is that it grew a conscience somewhere along the line and realized that it had wiped out everything on the planet. It was the ultimate machine. It became the champion. And so it was the biggest, baddest machine, killing machine, but then it was the only thing left. So what happened was it got picked up by a Klingon ship first. And of course, anything that attacks it, it automatically attacks. So it killed everybody on the Klingon ship. And it regretted that because it goes into sort of a battle rage and didn't think about it. So then an Orion slaver got it. And when the Orion slaver got it, it chose the form of a small female child because they figured that would be the least likely to be attacked. Unfortunately, it was Orion slavers. They attacked it. It wiped out every Orion on the ship. And then the next ship that came along was our heroes in the Tamerlan. It's like, I know how this is going to go down. You know. So it chose to be a child so that the humans wouldn't attack it. The humans would take care of it. And that triggered Cochrane's maternal instincts. And so the entire episode was Bennett going, That's a machine. That's a killing machine. That's a destructive killing machine, not your daughter. Like, that was Bennett's entire line through the whole thing, because the machine was then like, you have to kill me, because you can't let me loose. You can't let me go somewhere. You can't put me anywhere. You have to kill me. And Cochrane's like, I'm not killing you. And Bennett's like, imagine if the Romulans got a hold of it. You just put it on Earth and let it loose. You send one Romulan agent to shoot it, and then it kills the Romulan agent and everybody on the planet. She's like, it has to be destroyed. Right? And that was the whole plot of the Champion. This is the kind of stuff I really want to dig into with Bellatrix Rising, and I will be digging into this kind of stuff. So don't worry about it. We already had established in sort of these characters canon that we've already got the establishment of she's got a child, she's had a child, and Bennett uses that against her and just beats her on the head over and over and over with it, because Bennett's got no tact. It's like not Bennett's thing. So don't worry, we're good. It'll be there. I just don't know how soon we will get there. Sorry, Brian. I'm just like blocking you out. I hope you don't have anything important to say. Because
I was thinking about that, and it'd be an interesting way of handling that is Cochrane. Well, what would be Chang now?
Yeah, Chang. Yeah, she's changed, but yeah.
Is they inject the robot with a substance that will kill it, but to keep it calm, she's singing it a lullaby as it's dying.
Oh man, see, that would have been cool.
But you can still do that, huh?
That's not the way they dealt with him. They beamed her, so she couldn't be beamed or transported.
Yeah,
she was overrun.
In Cochrane's story, yes, but you can still change that for.
I can still have the Champion over here, but I would randomly roll how the Champion showed up as a boy or a girl. But yeah, I could see that. No, but that whole that stressor between her and the child thing, and having a child and having a daughter, that's Alex now. Which Alex has a different arc that goes the entire length of the 50 episodes. So is part of the whole long arc.
But you could do something similar with
I think that's a very good scene. I don't know how I'm going to use it, but I will swipe it from you. Thank you very much, my friend. I shall steal that from you and use it somewhere. So, sorry. I should have said it that way. I apologize. Because you're right. That is a good one. I like it. Anyway, so let's see here. What else we got going on? All right. Hey, you and I are actually both working on comics at the same time. Look at us.
I'm working on a commission right now.
Well, yeah, but we're both working on drawing.
Yes.
As opposed to last night when I was doing 3D or doing card game stuff, and you were actually working on like the real thing. And oh no, not that big. There we go. So the other cool thing about always having the maquettes is that I always spell the Tamabeshi correctly. I have. I was actually talking to my wife on this one the other day. I'm sorry, Joan, my partner. So Joan and I have decided we're trying to call, even though they're heterosexual partners, we want to call them partners because it shows allegiance with those who are like Pepper and Bill, who are still having issues with not being able to acknowledge the existence of their respective other because of whatever their goofy state has decided to do with laws. So anyway, I was talking to my partner, and she and I were discussing personality, and I was saying that so much of my personality I wear on my sleeve. Like, I am absolutely as transparent as I can possibly be. I don't hide anything if I can get away with it, because it's better that way. Then you know everything you need to know about me. You know what you get. The flaw to this one, of course, is all my insecurities are out here on display. And when we start drawing, I'm like, oh no, what if someone thinks that drawing maquettes is tracing? What if someone thinks that I'm cheating? And I have
goddamn tracers ruining everything.
Everything. Ruining everything. That's me. I'm ruining everything.
No, I find it fine that you use maquettes.
I know you do. And everybody seems to not have a problem with it but me. I'm the one that has a problem with it. And so I seem to feel like I have to justify. Well, no, notice how all of her freckles are always correct every time. Just saying, I feel like I have to justify it. I can't just leave it alone. I can't just say that, So anyway, I'm just saying that and that's why I am once again, like Bernie Sanders, I am once again reminding you all that I have a reason behind using maquettes. And I know you don't have a problem with it. Nobody has a problem with it but me. I apparently am the only person that has a problem with this.
Well, part of it is the thing where people go, oh, you're just a tracer. It's like,
yeah,
motherfucker, shut up. You don't know the first thing about inking.
Right. Well, and again, I have been a complete space cadet, but still have managed, I will still, by the end of this show, have managed to have inked half this page, and even with a complete space cadet. And so it's been about 20 minutes or so, and this page will be done.
So
I'm actually surprised that Pepper isn't here today.
I am too.
I thought he would have an easier time in the morning.
I'm actually thinking that I've been don't stress yourself, guys, about this, but now I think I'm going to have to turn around and say, okay, stress yourselves, guys, about this. I think I gave them permission to not be here. I'm kind of the opinion that Colton is probably not here because he's trying to summer break. But Raph hasn't been here since April. Oh, man. And Pepper hasn't been here since May. Actually, Raph hasn't been here since March. And I'm kind of I had a discussion with Christina, because she texted me a while back and was complaining that I had shown, I had talked to Raph and figured out that he's probably got ADD because he does all the ADD things, and now she's like, he's completely insufferable. So she was blaming me for it, which was funny. But I was talking to her and I was like, well, we haven't seen him in the show. And she's like, that's actually because he's helping with Coda. And I was like, you know what? That's cool. I mean, I get that. And I shouldn't have said the kid's name out loud. Damn it. I don't want to say my kid's name out loud. Why would I want to say their kid's name out loud? So, I mean, if they want to do it, that's fine. That's them. Anyway, so I had talked to her about it, and I kind of understand that. I still feel like they should be checking in. The whole point was to get them to check in, and they asked for it. They were like, hey, kind of need some
motivation,
accountability, not motivation, but accountability. So, well, yeah, and I mean, I have been saying over the summer, right? Because screw Bill. I've been saying over the summer, there will be a couple of days where Brian takes over because I'm doing a thing. But like this whole week, my kid's at music camp. So, and the partner is going to be doing, she's subbing today and tomorrow, or she might sub tomorrow. She hasn't decided yet. So I've got nothing better to do. Might as well sit here and do this. It's work, and I'm getting good work done. So none of this is affecting any of the family stuff at all. The family is totally gone for the day. So yeah, here I am. Besides, I actually kind of enjoying doing this now. I guess what I needed to do this morning was ink. I guess what really needs to happen is I need to stop being told what to do by myself. It was like this morning, I was like, that's it. We're going to do Airship 27. And then I'm like, yeah, clearly I was like, yeah. Yeah, I obviously did not want to do Airship 27, says my muse. Being weird. Yeah, messages from Bill is a good thing. We can get messages from Bill back. We demand messages from Bill.
And Colton wanting to take the summer off, that's fine. That doesn't bug me. But it's just like it's so lonely.
Yeah. Well, I think really he still needs to do work.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
otherwise he'll start falling back.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, not only that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, drawing is life. Like, I can't. I don't do well if I don't draw. So I don't do well if I don't do this every day. I did that first week where I was working all week, and I was like dying when I got to the weekend. I just felt like I hadn't done anything. I felt like my world was kind of little and small. It was like really weird. I was very uncomfortable because I had spent the entire week going to work and then coming home and crashing, and then going to work the next day and then crashing. You know what I mean? It was like I didn't. Even the night shows where I was coming in here, most of the night shows, I was like, "Hi, Brian, I'm done." Bye. You know, that was like the end of it. I was like, "Meh." So it was like, even then, it was kind of. There's a lot of really fast animation going on over here in NASA TV. They're running all of these Artemis animations, but they're like running them at super speed. So like the Artemis on the launch pad, then it goes, and it's like, here's the Earth, it goes, whee! And you're like,
yeah,
how fast is Artemis supposed to go? Because it's super realistic animation, so it really ends up looking like, looks like that it was launch footage played at like 200 times speed or something really strange. And oh, hey, so they're showing diversity, like people who are LGBTQ on NASA, and that's cool. You know why that's significant? We should talk about Dr. Sally Ride.
Oh?
Yeah, Dr. Sally Ride was a lesbian. But in 1980, so this is our first woman in space, right? The first American woman in space, Dr. Ride. She was a lesbian. She had a partner. But because of the landscape of everything in the 1980s, she couldn't ever talk about it, and nobody knew. Even geeks like me had no idea. That's how well they were guarding the secret. The upper management of NASA knew, and they kept it locked down. They were okay with it. They were fine with it, but they kept it locked down. And it's because they couldn't let that go in the landscape of the 80s and the 90s. And when Dr. Ride passed away, Defense of the Marriage Act was in place, DOMA, which said that government funds could not go to anybody but married partners of opposite sex. And so when Dr. Ride passed away, NASA couldn't turn her pension over to her partner. And there was a lot of people on NASA who were very upset about that, because they feel like, as you might imagine, Dr. Ride's partner deserved that. But since Dr. Ride's partner was a female, DOMA blocked it. And so they couldn't, and it was a major problem. So it's nice to see NASA talking about diversity and talking about LGBTQ. It's nice to see them openly talking about that, since that was a stressor internally. Nobody was against the relationship of Dr. Ride and Tam. Nobody had a problem with that. But they couldn't do anything legally because they were a government agency. And so they feel like, NASA has always felt like they disrespected and dishonored her as an astronaut, as a member of the astronaut corps. And I don't know if they've managed to fix it since then, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they've been able to fix that whole thing. I hope they have, because that was. I mean, I remember when after Dr. Wright passed, about a month later, all of that information came out because Dr. Wright's partner allowed it to come out. So NASA was able to say, "Oh, thank goodness we can talk about how frustrated we are about this." You know what I mean? Like they were. It wasn't just the external stuff; it was the internal stuff. If you follow NASA enough, you can get to the little guys who all have opinions out there, and you can see what the real internal clockwork is. Were there people who hated it? Sure. You know, were there people who, but the majority of the astronaut corps really had a problem with it, with DOMA specifically. What's really interesting is in For All Mankind, they put Deke Slayton in there, and things changed in the way that first season of that was set up. And the reason that Deke Slayton says at one point in time that he wouldn't have approved, because they've got a female astronaut who is effectively the Sally Ride mimic. She's a lesbian, but since it's the 80s, 70s, and 80s, she's closeted, and she has to stay closeted. So she actually has to marry somebody who's also gay, so that they can live together and pretend to be husband and wife, so that effectively they have beards, right?
Yeah.
So they're running the Sally Ride story in the same manner. They're explaining it that way. But when they put Deke Slayton in, he has a problem with it. And it's legitimately because Deke Slayton legitimately had a problem with Sally Ride. So that's not even fiction. Like, that's real. The real Deke Slayton had a real problem with the real Sally Ride being a lesbian. And so that's actually what really went down in NASA. And he was one of the people who was against it. And it's fascinating that when they put it in For All Mankind, the character Deke Slayton is against the character that's portraying the character that's built off of Sally Ride. But it is interesting that that's a legitimate, real thing that really occurred. Chorus AQ. Oh, yeah. Sorry. NASA TV is rolling over here, and I'm having distraction issues with NASA TV, but I finished this picture. And look how she looks there. She looks like she's actually like, hey, that looks like you're having a problem over here. All right, kill this. Pork and deselect.
Yeah. This is turning out really lovely. I like the way this picture's coming.
I do too. So that looks like a good picture of Chang there. That's solid. I'm okay with that. And here she looks like she's genuinely taunting poor Mayrel, because she's doing that sounds like you didn't do your math right, sort of thing. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Sounds like you didn't do your math right there. And this is where we cut to Mayrel going, no, I did everything correct. It's like, I did it, I promise. And the next page is that's where the sergeant, our gunny comes in and goes, nope, I can confirm, I double checked all of her numbers. She was totally on. There's nothing wrong with what's going on here.
Yep. Well, it's 11 o'clock, so I need to bounce.
So, yep, I'm saving my page. Man, this is
hopefully spend today finishing up this, and then tonight I'll work on the comic.
Yep. Ooh, I'm going to be coming in late, so you'll start the show for me tonight, because we'll be doing Geek Tank from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, which means that I will be doing the fast kill of Geek Tank and then immediate startup on here.
Well, it's my RPG night, so I might be running a little bit late.
Well, then that's fine. No stressing. There's no stressing on this one. especially since it's your RPG night. So, yeah, no stress. If it doesn't make it, then we don't make it. We're cool. We'll be fine.
Sounds good.
It's all good. Hey, guys. Thanks, Brent, for joining us. Hey, you stayed with us the entire freaking time. Good job. Good job. I'm going to go over here. Go to ring camera only. And I'll see you guys tonight. And remember, Brent, we might be a little late depending on how late we get out of Geek Tank and whether Brian gets out of his game early or not. And all of that is not stressy. We're not stressing about anything. You could offer to start the show, but then we'd have to pay more. That's part of the problem. We the monthly fee for Restream allows me to have 2 admins. So you're looking at both admins. So anyway, we'll see you later. And see you tonight, guys. Good night. Bye, Brian.
See ya.